Are we live?
We are.
All right. I'm just going to give it a second because there's usually a little bit of a delay.
All right.
Welcome everybody. We are, this is Contractors Corner, and I'm Adrian Park. And with me today is founder of Contractor AI, founder of J. Carter Roofing, system whisperer, and interesting fellow.
Oh, thank you.
When you get to know him, Jay Carter.
I'm starting to look forward to these this week. It gets me all pumped up. I feel like it's wrestling.
All right. So we've got an interesting, I think we've got actually, today's going to be fun. We're going to talk about like something that I think a lot of us aren't great at, but we can be better at. But before we do that, today is Black Friday, Jay. If you,
do you think I don't know?
And if you didn't know, if you hadn't seen,
it's because I'm Canadian, right? Is that why you're?
Has nothing to do with the fact that you're Canadian.
All right.
So yet another way that we here in the U.S. like to, grab all the attention and also, try to make money for our companies. So, okay. So there's something interesting though that's happening, and I'm going to tell you what it is. And maybe you've already seen this, but so for anyone out there that's not here in the U.S. or doesn't follow, pro football here in the U.S., there's actually, in fact, it's on behind me. Well, that's a commercial. Shocking. So it's on behind me right now. There's a football game on right now on Friday. So that's not normal. All right. So, in fact, there's actually a congressional law that says that the NFL cannot play a football game on Friday, because Friday and Saturday, actually.
Really?
The reason for that, again, for anyone out there that's not in the United States, but maybe the Canadians and so on, is that there's high school football on Fridays here in and that's a huge thing, especially in certain parts of the country like Texas and Florida and a few other places. Not to leave anybody out, okay, but big deal. And then of course there's college football on Saturdays, which is also like huge multi-billion-dollar business. Okay, so today though, on Friday, there is a football game on right now between what is it? The Miami Dolphins and the New York Jets, which is interesting in and of itself. And it's actually the Black Friday game, and it's on Amazon Prime. Okay. So here's the part that I wanted to bring up to you, Mr. Also, I left out genius marketer in my introduction, but maybe I'll save that for another week. Okay. So for those of you who don't know, Jay is a very, even though he's contractor by trade and now has the Contractor AI business and so on and so forth, has a deep passion for marketing, and also is very good at it. So that's why I'm bringing this up. So Amazon is going to, the ads they're running will be just like Facebook or Instagram or TikTok. They're going to be targeted ads based on your Amazon search history. So all these ads. So if we sat here and watched this, if I had the game on, you had the game on, my ads are going to be about whatever I'm searching on Amazon, right? I was looking for microphones last week, and your ads are going to be, about, I don't know, whatever you're searching on Amazon,
right?
So pretty interesting, right? And I can't remember how they got around the whole like rule thing. They got around that somehow, but like so they got around the law somehow, and maybe because it's an afternoon game. I think that's what it is. But anyway, on Friday. But like, how crazy is that, right? like in
Right.
a like, and of course they're paying like $1 billion a year for this, but like we thought, like, I mean, Super Bowl ads used to be like the biggest thing where companies pay millions and millions of dollars. Now you've got Amazon that's getting people to watch football on a Friday, and they'll probably have 25, 30 million viewers today.
Wow.
And
Crazy.
those people are all going to get targeted ads, like dropping those. Crazy, right?
Right. Right. That is crazy. Cool.
Yeah. Anyway, so kind of a fun thing that's happening. Okay. So we're going to, so Jay and I have been wanting to, like kind of not just rant about contractor stuff, but you might have noticed we're doing a couple different things. So we showed the quote, the blank math account on TikTok, and so we've been doing that for a few weeks, and we're doing some other things. So we're going to, so actually the first, this is actually the first segment. So the first segment today is a segment that we're going to call This Week on the Internet. And Jay, if I can share my screen, I'm going to share a couple things here that are funny, but also, dang it. Hang on a second. But also related to contractors. Hold on a second. Stop sharing. All right.
With this possessed screen thing again.
Well, it's because I can't I can't X out of it.
Right.
So I have to but at least it's not blinking like
last time for sure.
Like it's possessed. Okay, here we go. All right. Can you see my screen? It's on my TikTok account.
Mm-hmm.
All right, here we go. So, this, I don't know if you've seen this, Jay, but this is pretty good. And did I get the sound here? Tell me if you can see the sound.
I mean, honestly, who'd have thought they would have banned you from every escape room game in Tennessee just because you're too fucking good at it? What? Don't put me in a room made of drywall and tell me I have to escape. I'm getting the fuck out of that motherfucker if I have to Sparta kick my little ass all the way home. I ain't got time for no goddamn puzzles. What puzzles me is the admission fee I paid to get in here is not going to cover the amount of drywall I'm about to fuck up. What the fuck you mean you're calling the goddamn police to what? Bring me the key to the city for setting the fucking high score? 30 seconds flat, I'm out that bitch.
So I found that because there was a contractor that duetted that and got like 18 million views or some crazy. Okay, this one I found, I forgot I had that. Okay, this is actually, this is this is an accident report in Australia with the bricklayer, and this has also gotten millions and millions of views. But this is really good.
Now we got a message on Facebook from Ian Clements, and he said, "I love that chili eating video. I reckon you guys can't read this story without laughing." So here we go again, guys. So this is an Australian bricklayer's accident report. So this bricklayer's accident report, which is apparently printed in a newsletter for the Brickies Union after it come in. And if this is a true story, this bloke is 100% getting a Darwin Award, but it's amazing. So it reads, "Dear Sir, I am writing in response to your request for additional information in block 3 of the accident report form. I put poor planning as the cause of my accident. You asked for a fuller explanation, and so I trust the following details will be sufficient. I'm a bricklayer by trade. On the day of the accident, I was working alone on the roof of a new 6-story building. When I completed my work, I found that I had some bricks left over, which, when weighed later, were found to be slightly in excess of 250 kilos. Rather than carry the bricks down by hand, I decided to lower them in a barrel using a pulley, which was attached to the side of the building on the 6th floor. Securing the rope at ground level, I went up to the roof, swung the barrel out, and completely loaded it with bricks. Then I went down to the ground floor and untied the rope, holding it tightly to ensure a slow descent of the bricks. You will note in block 11 of the accident report form that I weighed 70 kilos. Due to my surprise at being jerked off the ground so suddenly, I lost my presence of mind and forgot to let go of the rope. Needless to say, I proceeded at a rapid rate of knots up the side of the building. In the vicinity of the 3rd floor, I met the barrel, which was now proceeding downwards at an equally impressive speed. This explained the fractured skull, minor abrasions, and the broken collarbone, as listed in Section 3 of the accident report form. Slowed only slightly, I continued my rapid ascent, not stopping until the fingers of my right hand were two knuckles deep into the pulley. Fortunately, by this time, I'd regained some presence of mind and I was able to hold on tightly to the rope in spite of beginning to experience pain because my knuckles were in the pulley. At approximately the same time, however, the barrel of bricks hit the ground and the bottom of the barrel fell out. Now devoid of the weight of bricks, the barrel weighed approximately 20 kg. I refer to you again to my weight, 70 kg. As you can imagine, I began a rapid descent down the side of the building. 6 stories. In the vicinity of the 3rd floor, I met the barrel coming up. This accounts for the 2 fractured ankles, broken tooth, and several lacerations on my legs and lower body. Here my luck began to change slightly. The encounter with the barrel seemed to slow me enough to lessen my injuries when I fell into a pile of bricks. Unfortunately, only 3 vertebrae were cracked. I am sorry to report, however, as I lay there on the pile of bricks, in pain, unable to move, I again lost my composure and presence of mind and let go of the rope. And lay there watching the empty barrel begin its journey back down towards me and then eventually on top of me. And this explains the 2 broken legs. I hope this answers your inquiry.
Oh, that poor friend.
That was pretty
If
good.
someone was able to animate that, oh, that would be.
So, I realize it's mostly just for laughs,
Mhm.
but like that, is that not the funniest thing?
Yeah, that's good. I like it.
Okay. So, oh boy. Okay. So let me see. I'm going to stop the share and I'm going to pop over this other account. So I think, one of the things I wanted to also, in our This Week on the Internet segment is, show a couple of posts from, contractors.
Okay.
On TikTok. So just give me a second because I actually have to log out of this account and log into another account. Because it's what is that? It's I think especially, I think for contractors, it's, how do I say this? It's one of those things that, because for a lot of us, it's not something we do every day. And so, we're not in the habit, and, we don't do it. So I want to show a couple things, because it's not like, it's really, really easy, and there's a lot of benefit to it. So I'm just going to show a couple things here real quick. I'm going to share my screen again, and then we'll go on to the next thing. All right. Share sound. All right. So these are just a couple quick TikToks here. Ready? Okay, this is 1.5 million views. This is, you're going to see how unfancy this is. All right, ready?
Okay, so I'm just going to put this out there. Y'all may not agree.
So this is just a sound, which you can use. You can just grab a sound from somebody else's TikTok, and it's fine. There's no copyright rules. And this is just, concrete finishers.
But do not sleep on blue-collar boys. I know you think that, they're never around, or maybe they don't make as much money. Honey, they make a fuckload of money. They work their fucking...
So, and that's surprising. I'm not going to go all the way through it, but that's actually a longer one. It's a couple minutes. Mm-hmm. And that guy is, he's a coaches contractors. Mm-hmm. Here's another one. Again, this is 44,000 views, and this is what it is.
Oh, yeah, I see these all the time.
Yeah, 44,000 views.
Pretty easy to get views there, eh? Just cutting
it's
boards.
Literally just, this is all it is. I'm going to just skip ahead. All right. So and I bring this up just because, and there's more. Actually, well, I'll just click on this one. Okay, this guy, he's got a huge. I think he's got 2 million followers on TikTok.
Yeah.
And
He's just
this
doing
had,
his job.
what's that?
He's just doing his job, showing something.
40 million views.
Yep.
And this is RR Buildings. Shout out there. All right. So why are we showing you that? Because, it's really, this is not like, and there's dozens more, and we'll keep featuring, showing more of those, because it's really so simple, right? It's really so simple. And, we're going to talk about some stuff today, but, it's not hard to do, right? All you got to do for most of those, all you've got to do is like hand your phone to a laborer, right? Who's standing around, waiting for something to happen, and have them shoot one of the foremen or shoot one of the skill guys doing the work, right? It's really that simple. You don't have to memorize any lines or say anything. It's just like, if you just capture the work, that's content, and it's good for the business, right? Okay. So, so we're talking about how to handle objections today. And so I think that, I was going to show a couple clips, but we'll just talk about it. So there's, one of the things that, so I started off in knocking on doors, and in February in Chicago, which was rough. So I started off knocking on doors in Chicago in the wintertime, and my, of course, most of those, again, this is in 2001, 2. So of course, most of those were, basically told me to fuck off. But, and then that was every day for like 2 months. That's all I did, right? I didn't sell anything. It was just go get as many prospect names, name, address, and telephone number. And believe it or not, and you'll appreciate this, they didn't even have me get the email, because this is like,
there was no email
before email was even like something that was like a big deal. In 2002, people weren't building email lists, or at least that firm wasn't. So anyway, my method, the reason why I was able to go out and do that and just take all that rejection, because it's a lot of rejection, was because I had I would just set like a big goal, and then I realized like it wasn't personal, So it wasn't personal to me, and and so I didn't as far as like what was going on in my head, like to me it wasn't personal, and that's kind of how I was able just to do that day after day after day, and fight the cold and so on and so forth. But one of my so I'm just going to throw this out there. So one of my ways of sort of getting to yes, if you will, or getting to like, someone to give me their information or then later close and sell, was like getting them to say no. Right. So it was, I would ask I would say like, well, so here's what we're going to do. Is there any reason you wouldn't be comfortable with that? And, it was, they would say no, and we'd sign the papers, sign the contract, whatever. And when I would get objections, the thing that I learned to do very quickly was, instead of getting defensive, and I'm just saying broadly speaking, instead of getting defensive, realize like this is what they're actually concerned about. And so I would, my approach was instead of kind of like running from it or getting argumentative about it, which are, I think, all sort of human. It's a human response. It's not wrong. It's just human. My way of handling those things was to say, well, kind of step into it, acknowledge it, right? And like for example, like in the investment business, and in early 2000s, I came into the business like during what the tech wreck, right? Which fucking sucked. Okay. Like, cause everybody's accounts were down like a huge, and I'm trying to like build a business around investment clients. So it was really hard. And I had a lot of people said no. Most of the people said no. So, what I learned to do is just to step into that and just to say, well, is this risky? It's absolutely risky, So if they would ask me something like that, I would, my response was to just go all in on it. Absolutely, it's risky, right? Instead of like, it's kind of, like do this little dance around it. I would step into it like, oh, that's absolutely risky. Could I lose money? Absolutely. And so, by doing that, and by being, by stepping into those objections and just owning them. Now, some certain things that weren't true, I wouldn't agree something wasn't true, but most of the concerns were valid. Like, is there risk? Yes. You can lose money. Yes. It could be, could be very expensive if it's done wrong. But then I would come back with, it is risky, and it's even more risky if you don't do this, right? And so pivoting to something. So how can we, we're talking about this in the context of contractors, how can we help, these men and women that are, great at they're great at what they do, right? They're great at the trade, they're great carpenters, great roofers, great masons, great plumbers, great electricians, but they don't, they're just like, they're human, and they don't want someone to be like, oh, this is crazy. This is the most expensive plumbing contract I've ever seen.
Yeah. So this is actually right in my wheelhouse, being that I've ran large sales teams and run sales teams for lots of contracts. I kind of get to see it all over the board. Very common. Okay. So let's address the first thing. All right. I think that too many would-be salespeople or contractors, maybe great tradespeople, forget what sales is. Not first and foremost, sales is nothing more than leadership. So you're leading somebody to make a decision on something they're already looking to solve. Okay. So always think of putting yourself in a leadership position when you think of sales. I think that a lot of times it creates anxiety when somebody tells us no, we take it at no. We don't have the courage to understand that they're not really saying no in a lot of cases. What they're saying is, you haven't satisfied, or you haven't led me to a place where I'm comfortable to say yes. Okay. So the difference between a really good a salesperson to me and a really good closer is the ability to take somebody from a no to a yes. Okay. And I'm going to share with you kind of the simplest process that we can use, or mindset that we can use, in order to solve an objection. Okay. So first of all, an objection is not a flat no. An objection is really, if we do the first thing correctly, will lead us to what the objection really means. Okay. So we have to listen to the issue. Okay. So the first thing is, you never disagree. You listen to what they're saying. All right. Make sure you've got clarity. Repeat it back to them. All right. So they've given you a price objection. So, just so I'm clear, XYZ, price you feel is a little bit too high, right? You want to make sure you've got clarity of the actual objection. And by repeating it back to them, it's going to, allow them to really hear what they've said. All right. And the next we're going to do is, we're going to simply, work to move past it. So I'll give you an example. All right. I've gotten a price objection. All right. So why don't we'll do a little role play here. Throw me a price objection. I've just given you my price. And tell me no.
Yeah. So we had 3 quotes for this, and yours is the highest.
Okay. And
from what I can tell, they're not exactly the same, but they're basically the same.
Gotcha. No, that makes perfect sense. So just so I'm clear, you've gotten 3 prices, and they're exactly the same as ours, identical?
I don't No, they're not exactly the same.
Okay.
It looks like there's a few differences, but I don't really know much about roofs, so I
Totally
don't know.
understand.
I couldn't.
Okay, so like money aside,
Yeah.
are you sure, like, you know, in our discussions that we just had, like, are you sure that I could even solve the problem for you? Money aside.
Solve the problem?
Yeah, like obviously your problem, like what
Yeah.
that I could deliver a high quality roof for you.
Well, that's why we called you out.
Okay, great. And that hasn't changed, correct?
Oh no, of course not.
Okay. And it's just the money right now that's kind of holding you back from moving forward with us right now.
Yeah, I mean, I don't want to overspend.
Okay, I got you. And just so I'm clear, by overspending, like, is it just the upfront like expense of using this? Because you understand, or you've communicated to me that you think we could do a really great job for you. What if I were to break it down into payment options, where we broke it over the next 12 months? How would you would you be ready to move forward with us with that?
I don't know that it's the duration. I don't know if it's really more about just the top line price. I mean,
Okay.
yeah.
So could you give me an idea where you think the price needs to be in order to move forward?
I don't know. I don't. That's a good question. I don't know. I don't have an answer for that.
Okay. And that would be, of course, not losing anything in terms of quality and the product that we've
Well,
gone
of course,
through here.
right.
Okay,
right.
great. Would you like to maybe go through the estimates and make sure we're comparing apples to apples?
Well, I think that actually makes sense. Yeah.
Okay, great. So let's do that. Right. So
Yeah.
again, I'm first of all, I'm isolating what the objection is. Is it a money
Right.
thing? Is it money right now? I'm probing to, look to make us a resolution to it. My solution to that was, let's compare apples to apples, make sure that you're getting exactly what you want, make sure that you don't have a trust issue with me, right? Because a lot of times trust objections will come in the form of it's too much, when they really,
Right.
you haven't proven your trust. So that's why I'm isolating the price itself. Like, all things aside, if we put money aside for a second, like, are you sure that I can actually solve this problem? I should have said it a different way, but you sure that I'm like, do you trust me to actually solve this?
Right.
Okay. If they reject that, then you have a trust objection.
Right.
You got to handle that first before you're moving to the price, right? And that's a lot of times that is the scenario, but also getting them to repeat back to you why they think your offer is great. And most customers will, they'll be like, no, like, I want the blah blah blah, and you get them to repeat that. And that's a lot of how people sell themselves, by the repeating it. So always listen very carefully and get them to repeat back, and make sure that you're clear and you're trying to, again, look to move past the objection, or you're looking to solve the issue. So the solution to this one would be, let's compare apples to apples, right? And in which case I may match price if it's on par, if I have room to do that. But first I tried with the payment option. So I want to make sure that it's not a money right now problem that's presenting itself as a price objection. Because a lot of times they may not in fact have that. All right. But they're going to use money, because money's the problem. I don't have that money to come out of pocket right now. So again, I'm going to position to, to isolate the time objection, or the money up front objection. And I'm going to make sure that I'm clearly solving the problem. Easy, right?
I think, to your point, Jay, that's something that I would make sure, I would make sure that it was an apples to apples.
Mm-hmm.
And so many times it was not apples to apples, right? It was not the same. And so I would say, well, if this is what if this is what you want to do,
mm-hmm.
then, this is, I'll adjust. If this is all you want to do or whatever, I'll adjust our quote to reflect that scope of work.
Right.
And we'd get the contract.
So here's the other thing I want to kind of demystify. In terms of handling an objection, and even your whole sales presentation, sales process, I think too many times guys go in without a plan or without a structure to lead the conversation. All right. So I can't emphasize enough. A lot of objections that you're getting are generally coming up, or you're not able to handle them because you haven't actually structured the call to lead it or structured the presentation. And a lot of times I think, especially with old school like sales tactics, contractors are still going in and pitching their benefits and features, right? When you pitch benefits and features, nobody wants to be sold. Okay. At the end of the day, you got to remember that nobody likes being sold. All right. So if you're going to go in and say, hey, I'm the best, roofer, then this is here why, and this is the product I have, people, they don't care. All right. And I can prove it over and over again. They care about themselves. So I think a lot of times, if you're, getting shut down with a lot of objections, even ones that are hard to get over and they're flat nose and stuff like that, you really have to look a little bit more carefully on how you're leading the conversation, right? And I say leading because, there's a whole process of gaining someone's trust. All right. That isn't your pitch. That isn't, in fact, you don't even need a pitch. Go in and really think about the problem that they have. Okay. What is it that they're trying to solve? And again, you can use home service or whatever, but what's really the reason for them to solve it? And you'll be shocked or surprised by asking questions instead of doing the talking and, trying to convince somebody of your value. Let them explain to you why they're getting this done. What's the driving factors, and then match yourself accordingly, right? So again, if I gave you the scenario of, somebody buying a high-end metal roof, for example, all right. A gentleman in his 40s or 50s or 60s, to the outside, right? And I think a lot of contractors get caught up on this. They may look at, all types of different factors that are related to themselves and try and pitch them based on that, right? Instead of asking the right questions at the right time to really get out of the prospect, what is the root cause of you wanting to have this home repair? Okay, because I'm going to connect with you emotionally. So I'll give you a prime example of this. If you ask the right questions, so for example, somebody's in their late 60s looking to get a metal roof, I'm curious, why are you so motivated to purchase a metal roof? They'll probably give you a surface level question, and then you're going to probe down. Oh, well, I want a roof that's going to, last a long time, or I'm sick of replacing roofs, blah, blah, blah. But why? Right? Like, I mean, I'm just curious, like, why is this so important to you right now to replace, with a lifetime metal roof? And then you're going to find out a whole bunch of other things. So maybe they're concerned about their kids putting them in a retirement home because they can't keep up with the maintenance of their home. They've had to replace a roof. They've had to, they're scared about going up on the ladder or having discolor. Like, there's a whole whack of things if you really try to connect with your prospect. Because listen, especially, I've learned this because in roofing, it's a begrudging purchase. Nobody wants to buy a roof. All right. Nobody's excited about getting a roof, but it's a great example of how we consistently deal with objections. So if somebody, if you allow if you don't lead well in the conversation, all right, they're going to pick somebody else based on price. Okay. And I think it happens more than often. If you want to see immediate results in your sales and in your business, start to listen more, do less talking. All right. Ask questions and genuinely, look to lead with your question. Okay. And I say lead because it's going to bring the homeowner to a conclusion that you're the natural best choice. Okay. And by listening to somebody and really hearing out what their fears are, what their concerns are, like, again, connecting those questions together to understand what has brought them to this and what they're, again, how they want, the repairs to be done, or they're going to tell you versus you trying to tell them, because people shut down when and again, it's just natural human behavior. Nobody really cares about you or cares about your company, cares about your offer. What do they care about? Care about themselves. Right. So let it be. Right. And when we get to the point, again, once you've learned to ditch the pitch, and I stole this from Jeremy Miners, so I shout out to Jeremy Miners. Again, once you've ditched the pitching part and going in and trying to convince somebody or persuade somebody, with your benefits and features, like that's a very old, kind of broken system, and it doesn't work. I mean, it is not effective. And the higher up in your value that you're trying to charge, the less and less effective it is. Okay. So like, if you're going in and you're the lowest guy and you're selling to a price shopper, well, you win by default. Okay. And I think too many guys stop and, you know, never get past that point and then just assume that they can't charge anymore because they're so weak at sales. They're so weak at understanding human behavior. And they're not willing to invest in themselves. They're not willing to work on that skill. So here's another piece of, you know, again, I know we've got contractors in different positions, but here's something else that I'd like everyone to really kind of think of. One of the most valuable and important skills that you can have, all right, and continue to grow and develop is the ability to sell. It is by far, if you look at the top people in my industry and any contracting industry, and you look at the CEOs of those companies, they have two skill sets that are generally their strongest suit. Okay. And that's sales and marketing. Okay. And I'll stand on my, you know, on my, my soapbox and scream it out. But like, again, you really look at these companies and they have a way of communicating their message clearly, concisely, and consistently. All right. That comes from, and again, you don't have to be a great salesperson. You know, myself, you know, I'm okay. There's people way better than me, like all day. I hire people better than me. Okay. And I'm okay with that. But I understand the sales process. I understand, again, you know, basic tactics and strategies. I again, put me in front of a client. I'm confident enough to sell. So when we think about this, you know, in terms of where you would make an investment in your business, I'm going to say for most guys out there, the best investment you're going to make is in yourself, right? Get a coach, get a trainer, get help on this topic. And you're going to see almost the lowest hanging fruits coming off the table, especially guys with low lead flow. They don't need more leads in a lot of cases. All right. They actually need to get better at sales and closing and converting their leads. Right. And I can't tell you, like, you know, just in the last few weeks, you know, I've had clients that we've had one or two, you know, sales strategies. And again, I'm very systemized. So, you know, I work a lot from scripts and structure and explaining the process versus trying to drill and memorize old scripts. And, you know, I mean, I don't think that that's really a great method. You have to understand first, like, this is a process. This is a step-by-step. And when you can get a customer to move through and agree with you at certain points, you know, and you're doing, you know, the right things, you're going to find that your sales go up dramatically just by making those minor adjustments to how you're approaching a prospect. And it will make a phenomenal difference in your business. In fact, if we played fun with numbers and we really look closely at all of the
fun with numbers,
that's my favorite game. Let's play fun with numbers. And they're like, you know, for the true sales guys out there, like, this guy needs to shut up. Like, this sounds like an operations guy to me, but it's true. The best salespeople that I've encountered and the ones that truly have the numbers to be inspired by, okay, they play fun with numbers. Everything is a number. Okay. It's a result. It's a 50% closing ratio. It's, you know, number of qualified leads, because at the end of the day, you know, again, in terms of quick return, quick, you know, improvement, immediate results, which we all want, quick wins, stuff like that. You can take a very solid sales training course, right? You can join us here at Contractor. I'll throw it in the plug where we'll help you through this, but the ROI packed into that, all right, and just improving your sales closing ratio by 10%. All right. We're talking, I mean, let's take your average ticket price, you know, 43, 50 grand, you know, I don't care, even 5 grand. All right. If you were to improve your sales closing ratio by 10%, which would be the very lowest bottom result that I've ever seen. Okay. And I mean, I've taught a lot of people sales and sales strategies and, you know, everything, you know, from A to Z. You're going to find that, you know, it's not really the problem you think it is in your business. I would say the majority of contractors that are probably listening in are generally weak in this skill set, even if they're good and they're really good. And I know you hear this all the time, Adrian, I hear it all the time. Oh, I'm closing at 70 or 80%. Great. It's amazing. That's fantastic. But you know, that's a little bit high, right? Like, you might be mispricing your jobs, right? So now let's take that same person, and we've had this, again, I call fun with numbers. I'm like, now let's price it profitably and compete against the rest of the guys, because here's the reality. If you're closing at 70%, you are leaving a lot of money on the table. And the skills to close somebody when you are above the, you know, let's take a 33% net margin. That's a true sale. Now that takes some persuasion to get someone to pay double to what your nearest competitor could be. All right. Now, I'm not impressed by anybody that is giving away work. Anyone could give stuff away. That's
Right.
charity. That's not sales.
Right.
Okay. I'm impressed by people who, keep cool under pressure. All right. Can take a no and move it into a yes, but aren't misleading their customers.
Right.
Okay. And I want to make this really clear, because there's a couple of misconceptions in overall, and I hear it from owners themselves. They don't like sales. They don't want to be sold. Maybe they had a bad experience in sales. Maybe,
Sure.
But it gets a bad rap. All right. It gets a bad reputation. Especially the old school tin man closer that just, the 2 hour like grind the
Right.
customer down and
Holding
high
the pen
pressure.
out.
Right.
Yeah,
I think again, we need to reevaluate the way that we view sales. And again, I get the privilege of seeing a lot of sales teams, a lot of, again, misconceptions that exist. And really, I think as an industry and as a market, we really need to evaluate what actual sales means, right? For contractors that are out there, and even if you're starting out or if you're a veteran, it doesn't matter. If I ask that same question to, 100 contractors, I can guarantee only 1 or 2 of them can answer me the correct answer to that question, consistently, because we have misbeliefs that, a sales is, somebody that's got these magic words and just,
Right.
things roll off them. And we all got this image of the greasy, or fast talking sales rep out there. And I want to be honest with you, like, that's not the case. That like the
Right.
people that I've seen that truly, and again, like by the numbers, are kicking ass. Okay. They're not like that at all. All right. In fact, they're the opposite. They're empathetic. They're not looking to
Right.
mislead. They have a heart.
Right.
They're not trying to like, you know what I mean? They're not even that great with their words. Okay. And the ones that are really good with the objection handles that I'm always astounded by, it's actually not a personality like mine either. All right. Not it's not the totally outgoing person.
Right.
It's the leader. It's somebody that doesn't have to say a lot to get their point across, the clarity in what they're saying. And they've got conviction in the way they're saying it. They believe, that they are delivering the results. And I think that's so important. So, I mean, again, take the average contractor that maybe feels like, I don't get this sales stuff, or I'm intimidated by the answer no, and like all these things, and really reshape the way you're thinking about it to, I'm only trying to lead this person to a
Right.
solution I know I can
Right.
provide.
Right.
And on top of that, they're already trying to make this decision and they're struggling with it. So if my job is not to sell them and to take it out of your mind, don't put pressure on yourself. If you go in thinking about making a sale, that's going to show through. That's your intent. What if you
Right.
went in and thought about, hey, what problem does this person have and how can I help them solve it? And we've
Right.
talked a lot about that. And that's where I think when it comes to objection handles, where again, that's where a lot of people just stop. They just stop trying to solve the problem at no, or I think some of the best objection handles I've had, I've been in the follow-up. Oh, I've gotten somebody else to do the job. Oh, great. Because I don't take that extra step and support that. And I'll give you a fantastic example of this. And if my sales reps are listening, they'll relate to what I'm about to tell you. But if they take that no as a solid answer, well, listen, at the end of the day, that's going to put you in basement numbers, right? Because people will say no over an email or over a text, or,
Right.
it's not over, in my opinion, until a fat lady sings. Until I see another contractor doing the job, it's not over. All right.
Right.
I still have a responsibility to lead them in the right direction that I'm passionate about. And again, provide them as much services, as much, education and clarity that I can. If they chose somebody else, I'm okay with that. I'm not hurt
Right.
by it. Right.
Right.
Everyone
Right.
has their own reasons for making decisions, but I want to make sure that they understand our position and what value we bring through. And I'll tell you why this is, again, very important. A lot of the leads we generate are from people we never did business with, because they
Right.
do appreciate us
Right.
giving that value. They do appreciate the leadership we showed through it, even if we got to no and it meant no. All right. But here, I'll give you a very good example of a funny one that I had. I don't do very many sales, but when I do, all right, this was, just recently actually in the roofing company, but we had a big hailstorm. I was out trying to support the team. And I had this customer, and I did my follow-up with her again, and she told me no. She's like, I've gotten somebody else to do the job. I was like, oh, okay, I understand. No problem. May I ask, who you're thinking of getting the job? And she's like, yeah, I'm getting, XYZ company. I was like, oh, okay, that they're not that bad. They're like, and she immediately said to me, she's like, yeah, my neighbor told me that you guys have a bad reputation and like, that's why I didn't go with you. And I was like, oh, okay. No, that makes sense. So, but I'm asking the questions. I'm like, what do you got? And she started sharing with me all these things, and I'm not arguing with her. I'm not fighting with her. Right. But I'm taking it in. I'm listening to what she says. The final one was, you look very young. I'm like, oh, thank you. I appreciate that. She's like, how do I know that your company is legitimate? And I was like, oh, no, I understand that makes sense. And then, very politely, I started to unwind those objections and provide her with the information that was actually accurate. I was like, comparing my company with, the company you're referring to, I actually have, I'm a 4.8 in Google reviews and they're 3.6. So I'm not sure if that's a fair comparison. And, and I'm doing this right with her. She's like, oh, wow. She's like, and I'm like, I don't know if you've checked this, but they're, it's easy to kind of mix those things up. And, and then I shared with her, compared to the age of my company, I've been in business, exactly, 12 extra years than this company has been. And, then we got into the age thing, and that's kind of how I resolved that one. The next one was, oh man, it was like five in a box. Jeez. And just followed by no. And come to find out that the sales rep that actually represented the other company who worked for us at a point, all right, had given some bad information to the client and misled them. So rather than fight her with her and get defensive about it, I literally let her lead to it. But then, by listening very carefully, what I'm hearing underneath all that is I'm really just scared to make a decision. I don't really know, I can't trust anybody. And again, in having the conversation and listening to what she's saying, not arguing with her, not fighting with her, she, basically gave me, I'm insecure with anybody. Right. And by me, providing my evidence, providing my proof, I turn that, I'm getting somebody else to do it into when can you start the job? And we've done the job, we got the sale. But again, a lot of guys at that point would stop at no, right? They would stop. I got somebody else doing, okay, whatever. Then they move on. That's not that again, if you really want to get to the top of your business and the top of your markets, all right, you have to understand why. What is motivating? What caused that no? All right. And again, it's not inappropriate to ask. You've invested your time with that customer. Okay. If you've done a really good job and you've gone through the process, and again, I'm going to use that word over and over again. And here's my caveat. If you want to know the process, join us in school. We host it every week. For the next couple of weeks, we'll be talking about sales. I will give you the frameworks, the playbooks, the scripts, the whole thing that I've used and my team's used to sell millions, 25 million in the last 2 years, in just pure sales, right? So if you are struggling with those things, come join us. No charge for it, but let's get these things out in the open. And again, come to the table looking to make the biggest improvement you can in your business. There is no better ROI than just getting a little bit better at sales, right? A little bit better at marketing. Yeah. All right. If you look at the ROIs of just getting a CRM or just doing anything else, just getting better at production, like none of it will give you a return the same way a sales improvement will be. If you have a team and you're struggling with a team, that's where we really shine. Again, accountability, how to manage your objections, role plays, things along those lines, which again, you have to be committed to. Even the sharpest teams out there, or the biggest veterans, if they're not willing to role play, it means that they've stopped trying to learn and stop trying to get improved. And I promise you, the market's changing so quickly and customers are changing that if you're not, actively always, at least trying to keep it maintained, right? And you're tracking your numbers and you're looking at reasons why people say no, your business is going to be stagnant at one point or another. And it's just math, right? You can only generate so many leads. What happens when the economy changes, right? We're going through one right now. Yeah. The skill that I'm going to double down on and the skill that I'm going to make sure my team is really great at, marketing and sales. I'm not worried about anything else. Operations will start to improve dramatically. That is the least place I'm looking, although the byproduct of getting better at marketing and sales is actually improvements in production. Nobody knows that, but if you are better at communicating, collecting information, all right, and sharing it back
Right.
with your production team,
Yep.
you will see 90% of the problems that happen in the field are the direct result of the sales to production handoff.
Especially in our
Oh, yeah.
business.
It's
It's
outrageous.
the worst. Yeah.
Absolutely outrageous. And again, guys, we can all improve. Like I said, I have a coach for sales. Why is that? I'm not even in a sales role really anymore. From time to time, I try to keep sharp, but I go religiously to a class every single week. It's on my schedule. All right. And I am always trying to improve that skill. Okay. Because it's something that needs practice. Being rusty at it, being, unsure or not having confidence, like those are things you need to fix. You need to be sure, because every opportunity counts, right? Think about all those jobs you lost and you were really disappointed about losing. Okay.
Right.
Remember that feeling when you don't want to invest the 15 to 20 minutes or an hour even into yourself. Just remember that. But that feeling in your stomach, like, yeah, I really wanted that job. You could imagine yourself doing it, right? Like, what would your life have been if you just had to chase fewer opportunities?
Yeah, I
Right?
think I was going to say, Jay, just a quick interjection. I mean, when we went on a tear and, grew the business from $1 million to almost 5 million in sales, I mean, just under, we didn't have like more job leads. I
Right.
mean, we had marginally more if we did. It was the quality, right? So we were talking to the right people, and then it was, that we had, to what you were saying, we had good communication. And so the quotes and the projects we were putting together were well done. And then it was communicating and, for me, because I sold a lot of the work, it was about empathy and listening, right? And so because we listened, I beat people out that were actually the price, they were lower price. So so I think it's one of those things, like one of my little like things is like I don't think of myself as a salesperson. I just
That's
think
right.
like I'm gonna just go in. I'm gonna sell something here, but like it's just like I feel like it's like a hat that I wear, So like I'm gonna put my sales hat on. I'm gonna go and have a conversation about this and see, if I think it's a good fit, but let's make sure this is a good fit. And and so like I think also, like, to your point, thinking of I can speak, thinking of objections as feedback, right? Instead of rejection. It's just, I'm getting feedback, right? Makes all the difference in the world. So
it takes the tension. And again, watch how easy it is to, respond appropriately to somebody when you take the stress off of yourself, right? Like, no in a lot of cases is not necessarily no. It's either, and what are you taking away from that, right? So if you don't know the reason somebody said no, or you're not interested in why, and you're just, butthurt because they said no, you're not gonna make very many improvements. You're not gonna get to an elite level of sales. And like I said to you, I think the movies and like, what we're told is like this, slick talking, fast sales rep that just, that's not really the case. That's not, and then on top of that, there are people out there that, in sales, and I've certainly met them that, have the wrong intent, and don't get caught up with those people.
Yeah.
My job is not to mislead or take advantage. It's actually a very big responsibility when you do develop these skills. Okay. You have an ethical responsibility. Could I convince someone to spend even more money than with me? Absolutely. Could I, again, and I have, I've proven it with other teams. You have a responsibility to make sure that the value and the core values your company have align with, how you're treating, a prospect, or how you're leading a prospect into a decision that, that's going to give them value back, and it's going to lead to more opportunity.
Just real quick, are you sharing your Slack screen on purpose?
No, not at all.
Yeah, you are.
Oh, oops. I did not know that.
So yeah, I think again, so I think to put like maybe put a finer point on it, like final thoughts here. So it's, I think we can like take like the like emotion out of it, right? And just like take all the energy out of it. It's not, it's, you know, we just, when we just like, when we try to help people and try to get, you know, lead them, to use your word, lead them to like, okay, because we think this is a good fit, we think this makes sense, and then actually try to help, you know, like it, sometimes, you know, most of the time it's a great fit, sometimes it's not, and that's okay, right? And to your point, you know, I mean, I didn't do this, I wish I'd thought about this, but you know, like you get a ton of referrals in the roofing business. That's brilliant. That's amazing.
But again, it's not, you know, you don't want somebody to feel like you've high pressured them or closed them into something they didn't want. And I think a lot of guys get that is like, that's how they should sell, and like lying and, you know, again, there is a lot of bad strategies out there.
Absolutely.
I always have taken the less high pressure tactic, but I use leadership as getting them to sell themselves. And again, a Jeremy Minor thing, but you know, I fully agree to that process, is because I see the result. First of all, I'm not going to ever get in front of a client I don't feel could, you know, benefit from my services. If somebody is truly not a fit for me, I'm happy to say, and you know this, I love saying no, you're not a fit. You're not gonna match. There's no reason to have this chat because you're not a fit with my company. Okay. That's, you know, that's step one. And the second step is when you do get in front of someone, you know, really keep the leadership, keep asking the questions, keep making sure that you understand the reasons and, you know, what their fears are, what their concerns are, because taking that extra time, and again, this is a system, this is a process, this is a way of washing things out. You're going to cover more with that client and their expectations, which is going to allow you to deliver better. It's going to allow you to stay connected with that client. The last thing you want is they go out, you know, high pressure someone into making a sale that they didn't get all their questions asked, or bully somebody into a sale, or, you know, it's, and I mean, don't get me wrong, there's guys out there that brag about, you know, high closing ratios, but you know, when you really get behind it, how many times did they have cancellations and, you know, bad reviews because of it? Like, if you really look behind the scene, you're going to find out that, you know what, it doesn't really work out. All right. People don't like that. They, you know, even the slowest person becomes wise to it. All right. And they generally don't feel good towards your company or your brand. You're damaging your brand and reputation that way. Now, when somebody feels like they've made the choice and you've put them in control and you've empowered them during the sale, all right, your objections, first of all, they start to dissolve pretty quickly, and they're soft at best. Right. They're more, for me, I think that some people are programmed, especially older, wiser, you know, baby boomers and Gen Xers. I think they've been sold so many times that they play a game with it. They want to make you sweat. They want to, and so be it, right? Like it's a challenge for them, and I see it all the time, right? Like they're messing with you, like they're working you on the objection. They want you to work for it. That's right. And you know what? I love that kind of stuff, and it's good. But like, again, if you really understand that, all right, and you can get a full no, and they're not really, again, like I said, they're the best ones to practice with. They're the sharpest one. They've been sold to many of times, right? You're playing with a veteran of buying things. If you're dealing with somebody that's bought, you know, it's buying their first roof or first home or first kitchen or first, like, there's a totally different, you know, mentality, and, you know, it takes a whole different skill set than closing somebody that is you know, bought 3 or 4 roofs and maybe owned a business and, you know, has been sold to frequently for a number of years. You start to run into real, like, you know, brick walls, and you have to learn to adapt in those situations. And again, when I look at the value of a salesperson, it's not by necessarily how many deals they close, although it's important. All right. It's where, like, how many referrals and how many happy customers do I have as a result of their treatment, as a result of them communicating. Like, because again, this is where these things show up. A customer pissed off from the very beginning is going to be difficult to work with, is going to be difficult for the management to deal with. Like, it was set off and the tone was created during the sales process, right? And that follows all the way through. Like, if you want to get one miserable client, like, again, start promising things you can't deliver. Start, making, concessions and like, going around, solid answers with them. And you're going to find out that that's going to haunt you all the way, where it would have been much easier just to get clear with them, show your leadership. You're not, the more you talk, the more they're leading you in the sale.
Well, and I think too, and so this is gonna be my final thought for today. So I feel like it's like earlier in my career, I thought that, I saw no as emotionally as rejection. I saw it functionally as I wasn't doing a good job, or I hadn't sold, I hadn't persuaded them the way I should. So I saw it as like a deficiency, and like I wasn't doing a good job. And one of the things that I learned, really, I've shared this before, but it bears repeating today, that I learned early in my career was the 4 S's. Some will, some won't, so what, someone's waiting. And kind of like made it, later on, like into a game. And I saw this. So I'm not going to share my game, but I'm going to share something that this guy Myron Golden, who's brilliant, like strategist, that's probably out. You've probably seen on TikTok. One of his things, he was a very successful salesperson and a bunch of different organizations earlier in his career. And the game he played, I love this. In fact, I might just steal this. Is that he would try to get to 10 no's. And so he'd be like, he'd go out, he'd try to, pitch something, no, pitch something again, no, pitch something again, no, pitch something again, no, pitch something again, yes, damn it, and start all over. And I love that, because it just flips right. So now you're trying to get it. And I've heard other people have different versions of that, but I mean, I didn't do that because that's really clever, but I did a version of that. And, again, when we think of it as feedback, right? So we're just, so objections are just feedback that are not, aren't what we want to hear, or against what we're trying to do, but like, it's feedback, right? It's the market. The market's telling us, the customer's telling us, this is, no, I'm not ready, or I'm uncomfortable, or I don't understand, right? And that's a big one for us as contractors, because we're out there talking about, like throwing all this, lingo around. They have no idea.
And so much misinformation as well. Like again,
they have no idea.
From one person to the other, you're getting such bad, and I think, again, if contractors were to, focus on the leadership side of things and really thinking about sales in a different perspective altogether, right? Like, we need sales. We need sales for a business to thrive,
right? But
we also need to connect and make good relationships with the people we're doing business with, right? If we want to focus more on that, you're going to see a dramatic improvement in your business, a dramatic improvement in just about every aspect of the business. I can't, until you've seen it firsthand, like, a lot of people doubt me, like, what do you mean? Like, I've got to be a better operator. I've got, like, how many guys that have come in and they're like, I've got a great product. I've got this great, like, they're the tradesmen, they're the Wayne Gretzky's, whatever. But you put them in front of a client and, I rather dig my own eyes out with a spoon than listen to them try and close someone. Right. And you're just like, but they are totally unaware that they're shit at sales. Like, they're totally unaware of, and this is where we get into another misconception, is it must be my price. I hear it 100 times a week. It's not your price. If you're better at and understand your customers better, and again, guys, this is all an evolution of, if you focused on these areas and you personally, first you get good at it, the owner, and sales can be taught. Okay. Despite what everyone says, it is not, it's not a God-given talent. It's not, it is a teachable, repeatable skill. All right. And anybody that's, again, is not sure, I have taken people that are completely introvert, myself included. Like, I don't like being in front of people to sell them things. I don't want to be in that position, but I've learned over the years to get really good at it by thinking about the leadership first, really understanding, and again, trying to be a problem solver versus, putting that hat on of salesman, right? Because when I put that hat on, I still have those misconceptions. I think I've got to be this, this good looking, smooth talking dude. All right. When, I couldn't be further from the truth. That's not actually what makes a good salesperson. And that's not what actually gives trust to a customer. And again, you can have a high closing ratio, but no one trusts you. Right. So you have to take a different look at what it is sales. And again, calculate it yourself. What would the number of leads that you took in last year, what would it look like right now if you had closed 25, 10, and really assess, like, where should I be investing my time and my energy, to get the best returns? And almost 9 times out of 10, even in big companies, in my business, like, that's where I'm looking to get the biggest returns and the improvements, and to also get it off my plate, to hire people that love doing sales. If you don't love doing sales, your first goal should be to hire someone that loves doing it, right? That will want to deliver the value or the message that you have about the value you deliver. Like, again, guys, you gotta look at where the returns are, the quick wins for you as well.
Yeah.
That's
and
my rant.
I want to go back to kind of like final to close this out today. So you said something about you mentioned something about our playbook, and I want to just bring that back up. So we had we finished and have our 50-page playbook, which is, I mean, it's everything. It's literally the whole, like, everything we're doing, we're teaching, we're doing for our clients. It's literally everything, right?
Well,
so I mean, with a couple of exceptions
for the process, but
as far as the process, exactly, as far as the process goes. We are giving that away, and so it's right now it's free. I mean, we might charge for it in the future, but right now it's free. And just really quickly, just to kind of close us out, like, I'm going to throw a couple out there that I saw, like, the messages on. So we had one of our actually group members sold a 130,000 contract using, like, got the playbook, and, like, within a couple days turned around and used one of the processes to go out and in his existing leads, in his pipeline. Right.
We didn't train him anything. We just gave him the playbook.
Yeah, we didn't train him. Just got the thing in his hand and went out and found a contract, got half down. Right.
Yep.
So got like 60K, 70K, like,
just
half down. Boom.
$10,000 project. Yeah.
Right. And then we had another one that was like 75, 76K. There was one that closed like 3 contracts. And those are just the ones that I can think of off the top of my head.
I have a really good one. So I've been working with a client. I'm not going to use his name, but we just started working with him. He's a little skeptical that I could help him. We were focused entirely, just like I said.
He had some objections, Jay.
Yes, he had many, in fact, and I had to earn his trust. And he was he thought he was very good at sales. So in the matter of, I've had 4 calls with him. He has quadrupled, so times 3 his sales. And all of a sudden, he's become a very big fan of mine, and shared that with our group as well. Shared that in a couple of texts that,
awesome.
We, without generating any more leads, without, we did 1 month, and that's all I asked him for as well. Like, again, give me a month. Let's see if it fits. If it doesn't work, then, we can go our own ways. But in the 4 weeks that we've had with him, he's times 3 his sales. So 3 times the closing ratio.
Wow.
12 of 13 he went. And now
That's
we know,
awesome.
and I get to, one of my favorite things to do with clients is I told you so. And now we're working on raising his prices. Because if he went that far and closed that many, and again, his brag to me was, my sales are really good. And I'm like, I'm sure they are. All right. But are we charging enough? Because I want to bring now up your dollar figure, and we'll see that sales closing ratio go back down. But as a tip, again, by adding these small changes and really structuring your sales process. By the way, we do sales playbooks, everything for you. It's all done for you. We get you on point with it. But just by implementing those things, very quickly turned around his entire operation. And I'm glad to share that win with everybody that may be listening still.
Yeah. Awesome. So we have, like, so again, I don't, it's 100K buried in your pipeline. I mean, I think that's
Yeah.
I think that's what it's called. But it's our playbook. It's free. So hit one of the links or DM us for it. And Jay's doing like free training every Thursday at 3:00 we're talking about sales right now on essentially on that in the playbook. So again, all of these folks, this was all in their pipeline, right? This was stuff that they had already bid. The quotes were already done. They were already out there. They were just sitting there. Job hadn't been done, hadn't been awarded, and that's every one of us. We've all got those customers that they didn't pick somebody, they didn't do the work. It's just out there and it's ours if we go get it.
Right.
So all right. So good live stream today. So for the 100K playbook, that's
just jump in our Facebook group or comment
or join the group, join our community. It's free in there. Also Jay's doing training, that's also in the community. That's free every Thursday at 3:00, and we're talking about sales right now. Jay and I are live every Friday at 3:00 Eastern time, and then I'm also alive every Monday at noon, and kind of sharing my how I turned around a mason restoration contractor that was in really rough shape, and we made a bunch of money in a pretty short period of time. So and all of these things are, my live stream is about like the things that I did, the same plays that we're talking about with our clients, the same things we're talking about here. So check me out Monday at noon for my live stream. We're here every Friday at 3:00, and then Jay's doing training every Thursday at 3:00. And it's real. We're getting, literally every day we're getting people commenting on one of our things in our community, sending emails, sending Slack messages, sending text messages. Like it's like they're literally flying in. So this is something that works. We want to share it. We want to help where we can. And of course, if there's an opportunity for us to actually work with you, that's great. But we can help you figure that out. So thanks for hanging out with us, and happy Black Friday, everybody. And we'll see you again next week.